Mauritius Island is a small island nation located in the Indian Ocean, off the southeast coast of Africa. Here is a brief history of the island. Early history. Mauritius was first discovered by Arab sailors in the 9th century, but it was uninhabited at the time. In the 16th century, the Portuguese visited the island, but they did not establish a settlement. In 1598, the Dutch became the first Europeans to colonize the island, and they named it after Prince Maurice of Nassau. The Dutch established a thriving colony and introduced sugarcane cultivation to the island. French colonial era. In 1715, the French claimed Mauritius and established a permanent settlement. They developed the island's economy around sugarcane cultivation and established a system of slavery to work the plantations. The French also introduced new plants and animals to the island, including mangoes, guavas, and deer. In 1810, the British captured the island from the French during the Napoleonic Wars. British colonial era. Under British rule, Mauritius became a center of trade and commerce in the Indian Ocean. The British abolished slavery in 1835 and introduced indentured labor from India and China to work in the sugarcane plantations. The island's population grew rapidly, and its economy thrived. In the 20th century, Mauritius began to diversify its economy, developing industries such as textiles, tourism, and financial services. Independence. In 1968, Mauritius gained independence from Britain, with Sir Siwusegor Ramgoolam becoming the first prime minister. Mauritius became a republic in 1992, and in 1992, Sir Anirudh Jugnauth became the first president of Mauritius. Since gaining independence, Mauritius has been a stable and democratic country, with a strong economy and a vibrant tourism industry. Mauritius Island gained its independence from British colonial rule in 1968. The fight for independence was a long and difficult process, which involved various political parties, social movements, and acts of resistance. Here are some key events and factors that contributed to Mauritius' struggle for independence. Rise of nationalism. In the 1940s and 1950s, there was a growing sense of nationalism among Mauritians, who felt that they were being exploited and oppressed by the British colonial authorities. This led to the formation of political parties and social movements, such as the Labour Party, the Muslim Party, and the Mauritian Democratic Party, which advocated for greater autonomy and independence for Mauritius. Constitutional reforms. In the 1950s and 1960s, the British government introduced a series of constitutional reforms, which granted more powers to local politicians and paved the way for a transition to self-government. This created a more favorable political climate for the independence movement. Mass protests. Throughout the 1960s, there were numerous mass protests and demonstrations in Mauritius, organized by various political and social groups. These protests often turned violent, as police and security forces clashed with protesters. The most famous of these protests was the Can March of 1965, in which thousands of protesters marched on the governor's residence in the capital city of Port Louis. Negotiations and diplomacy. Despite the unrest and violence, there were also diplomatic efforts to negotiate a peaceful transition to independence. In 1965, the British government agreed to hold talks with Mauritius political leaders, and in 1968, an agreement was reached to grant Mauritius independence on March 12 of that year. Legacy of resistance. The struggle for independence left a lasting legacy on Mauritius, inspiring a sense of national pride and solidarity. It also led to significant social and political reforms, including the abolition of slavery and indentured labor, the establishment of universal suffrage, and the promotion of cultural diversity and inclusivity. Overall, the fight for independence in Mauritius was a complex and multifaceted process, which involved a range of political, social, and cultural factors. It was ultimately successful due to the determination and resilience of Mauritius people and their commitment to achieving self-determination and freedom. Modern era. In recent years, Mauritius has continued to develop its economy and attract foreign investment. It has established itself as a hub for financial services and has developed a strong reputation for good governance and transparency. The country has also made significant strides in social development, including improvements in education, healthcare, and gender equality. In conclusion, Mauritius Island has a rich and complex history, shaped by centuries of colonization, slavery, and economic development. Today, it is a thriving and prosperous country, with a diverse economy and a vibrant culture. Thanks for watching and please subscribe to the channel.